What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettiette, and today we have a fan favorite guest back with us. It's my dad, and we're gonna do another top half of 10, but technically 10 because it's both 5, so it counts. So today I thought that we would do our top 10 SNL cast members. I know I did SNL characters with my Aunt Tracy, but this is different. These are the cast members, so. And he doesn't even have a list. He's making it up right now.
Which brings up my first question. Do your listeners appreciate Saturday Night Live?
Most of them, probably not.
Okay. But you do.
I really do.
And I think that's a prerequisite for me for enjoying a person if they like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Don't have to like all of it like I do or have multiple books on the subject like I do. But, if you don't appreciate Saturday Night Live, then why are you living?
All right. So before we start, I do have a top 10. So I'll just say the bottom 5. We'll call them my honorable mentions, just real quick. So they just barely didn't make it into the top 5, but still awesome cast members. So the bottom 5, I guess, were Will Forte, Jimmy Fallon, Tina Fey, Chris Farley, and Amy Poehler.
Okay.
So very, very awesome, just not quite top 5.
Understood. So, start us out.
Start?
Yeah,
okay.
Number 5.
Me start. All right, my number 5 SNL cast member is the one and only Will Ferrell. Yeah, he's just this big, giant, goofy guy, and that works so well in everything. He's so funny, and like he knows how to get people to laugh. He doesn't have to do like really one type of comedy. He just like knows how to work in whatever sketch he's given. He can be like super goofy. He can be like smart funny. He can be physically funny. Like he can do it all. And he like, even though he wasn't like older, I don't think, than his group, he felt like kind of the adult in the room. He could kind of just do anything. And I feel like it seems like a lot of his cast members kind of looked up to him as well. Like they did a whole thing when he was leaving, and he just kind of seemed to be like the guy, kind of.
Absolutely.
And he was great in any sketch. Obviously, he's like gone on to still be great at making people laugh and just being a big, giant, goofy dude.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put Will Ferrell at number 5 on my list as well. I was wondering where to put him, but as I was disseminating this list in my mind, I was thinking, like, do I pick someone who had an impact on the show, or do I pick someone that's my favorite? So you said favorites.
Sure.
So my criteria in my mind was, all right, I will stop and watch this sketch.
Okay.
If someone says, hey, this is a Will Ferrell sketch, I'll be like, all right, I want to see it. Sure. And I could name 10 right now off the top of my head where it's like, no, this was Ferrell, and watch where he makes someone break, or watch where he stays incredibly committed to the character while everyone else is having a really tough time. And like you said, he's the everyman, like Chevy Chase, or what was our caveman lawyer guy?
Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman. So it's Chevy, Phil, and then Will as the everyman. Can play a game show host, can play a character in a business, but committed to the comedy, just a true player. But my criteria of I'll stop and watch if you say, hey, this is a Will Ferrell sketch, I'm in. So that's number 5.
Yeah.
For instance, not to belabor the point, but I was thinking, if you're going actual top 5 cast members, Eddie Murphy has to be on the list because he literally saved the show at 19 years old.
Sure.
Or Dana Carvey pulled the show out of the ditch
Sure.
For the early 90s run. Sure. But I didn't watch them. That was I've only later seen what they did, and it's great stuff. But when I was 16, if you'd have said, hey, watch this Eddie Murphy skit, I'd be like, nah, I'll catch it later. But if it was Ferrell, it was like, what's he doing this time? Let's see what's up. So, excellent choice.
One of my favorite SNL, like, behind-the-scenes little tidbits is that in that the Lovers sketch where they're in the hot tub with him and Fallon and Rachel Dratch. I mean, Fallon was probably going to break anyway, but there's, like, apparently when he starts really cracking up, it was because Ferrell was doing things with his feet under the water.
Dratch,
Underrated.
Underrated.
Very underrated.
Really held her own in any sketch as well.
Yeah, but like all of the great, she was around all of the other great
Yeah,
female
she just
cast
kind of,
members.
but she was an anchor.
Yep.
I think.
All right.
Dan Aykroyd would be one of the key members as well that won't make my
Sure.
list, but obviously held the show together.
Sure. So, interesting that you mentioned those type of people because my number 4 is actually Dana Carvey.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I'm a big Sandler era person, and even though Dana was before him and stayed like forever, uh, it's just he always he felt like a little bit more of a smart comedy kind of guy. Not that he was necessarily like always played that type of character. It just seemed like I don't know, that he just had always had that vibe, and that's always really funny to me. He was like kind of he like, to me he seemed kind of similar, like a David Spade vibe, if he could play really great characters also. So yeah, he was always great to me. Church Lady is like, I think Church Lady is my favorite. I can't exactly remember my top 10 characters, but I think Church Lady might be my favorite character of all time. And he just like, he was so good at it. Like you could tell he's just meant for it, and he just, yeah, he was great and everything. So
I listened to Carvey and Spade's podcast,
right.
and Carvey truly is a student of the game, like the rhythms and inflections of people.
Sure.
He learns, and he's still learning.
Yeah.
Like he'll be like, all right, this is my Joe Biden, and he's practicing. He's like, I'm figuring this out, and you can tell he just put that effort into every character. And funnily enough, that's the run on Spade. Like in the early years, he was Carvey's extra basically.
Yeah.
So if Dana couldn't do a sketch, they'd pitch Spade in, but it just never happened.
Yep.
So he kind of missed some opportunities because Carvey just owned the show for a few years. But of course, Spade carved out his own niche. Yeah. So for my number 4, a little strange for me, but I think I'm going to go Sandberg.
Yeah.
Not because his sketches were good, but because he revolutionized the digital short.
Oh, yeah.
And then all the digital shorts where you're like, well, you got to see this one part.
Yep. Yeah.
So because for me, again, it's favorites, it was like, oh, okay, I need to watch this. Like, I need to see what they're singing about. Lazy Sunday, some not so great. Yeah. But what was the one where he's punching people?
It's called like punching people in the face while they're eating. But then, or something.
Like in Paris and zombies,
and then they dance, and then it says "Follow your heart" at the end.
Yeah, follow your heart.
Yeah.
So just that ridiculous, and just kind of when I discovered him years later, not during his run, it was the same thing. It was like, oh, he's in it. All right, I'll give it a look because his humor really.
Sandberg. He's great.
He's something.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to my number 3. If my phone will open. I think I know who it is anyway. Let me just check. It's my own finger. Okay. So number 3 is Kristen Wiig for me. There are so many great like female cast members, but she was something different. Like, she didn't even have a little niche or anything. She was just like, she would put everything out there into every single one of her characters. She would like fall off of tables. She would get like messy. She would let Bill Hader spit all over her face. Like, she just went all into every single one of her characters, and like, but so many of them have just become iconic, like Target ladies and Target commercials now. You got like there's like the one who gets really excited about parties. I think her name is Sue, and there's just like so many of them, and she just was so good at just making them hilarious and doing whatever it took to just be the most funny character.
Yeah, there's so many. Like, we could have done a top 10 because Hader. I think Hader follows the line. It's like, Chevy, Hartman, Farrell. Then I think Hader took that spot. Sure. I think he was the everyman game show host, but could also carry his own. So, not top 5, but man, you gotta, I'll watch a Hader sketch in a heartbeat.
I do like
So I'm getting in the controversy now, Kate.
Oh.
So
your
number 3. Yeah, this is tough for me because as I analyzed my list in my head, I was like, no, not that, but I have to do it. So Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Number 3.
I know.
Again, if the criteria is, hey, Dad, she's in a sketch,
she's so
I'm watching it.
funny.
I'm watching the sketch. Whatever the sketch is, she to me was the female Ferrell.
Sure.
Because she could be in every sketch, do anything you ask her to do, and then something was gonna happen where you're like, I gotta see this. I gotta see this. Cat ladies come to mind.
Yes.
You know, a lot of Molly Shannon in her.
Yeah, I could see
So it'd be really tough for me to pick between her and Shannon, but today I pick her.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me growing up, Shannon was the girl that you could put in any sketch and she could hang with anybody.
She was great.
Whereas O'Terry was great, but more specific. And then you know, the other ladies were good as well, but for me it was Molly Shannon. So it's really difficult for me to say McKinnon, but right now, recency biased, I'll go McKinnon over Shannon for 3. But it's like McKinnon subsection Shannon.
Yeah.
Number 3.
McKinnon is
I'm
hilarious.
really concerned about my list.
Yeah.
I'm worried about it.
She's hilarious. Love her stuff. All right.
I feel like I let Molly Shannon down.
All right, Dad. Are you ready?
Yeah, number 2. Now
are you ready for number 2? Are you ready for not number 1? Are you ready for number 2?
Yeah.
Because my number 2
Dose
is Adam Sandler.
Okay.
So yeah, not number 1. Somebody else was more just really good at the show.
Yeah.
For me, Adam Sandler is like, his movies are great, and that's what I think of when I think Adam Sandler. But also, when he was on SNL, he was awesome. Like, I just, you know, his characters were all super funny, probably offensive, most of them, but they were hilarious. And he was always so good at doing his characters. I mean,
maybe Canteen Boy.
A little bit. He was always too good at doing characters, but like my favorite thing was when he would do his songs, because like he wrote those, right?
Oh, perfect.
He wrote them and then he would sing them and he would play them and it would all actually be a thing that he made and he did. And that's like, you know, his characters are always hilarious, but when he would come on Wake Up Update with his guitar, I would be like, it's gonna be good.
So that's the knock on Sandler though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's obviously he was gonna make my list before I started thinking about controversy. But the knock on Sandler was he wasn't a sketch guy. He was pure, give me the screen, give me the focus, give me a guitar, and I'll own him, which he does. But that was the knock that, hey, this is a sketch comedy show, whereas Dana could be in any sketch, Will could be in any sketch.
Sure.
Sandler's like, no, I need 15 minutes right here.
Sure.
And I mean, just held your attention, whatever it was.
For sure.
Just think about the pitch of, all right, I'm going to put on a log wig and sing opera style about nothing.
Yes.
And Lauren had to say, you know, yes, give him 10 minutes on update. So, yeah, Sandler, great.
I love Sandler.
So, yeah, man, the list, like, I think we should do this tomorrow because my list will be completely different because you're just making me think all these things. Like, for instance, I had slated Farley for 2. As far as owning a sketch. Like, if Farley's in the sketch, he's going to take over.
Yes, he is.
Case in point, Pepperboy. The story on Pepperboy is that Farley was doing a movie. He flew in like on Friday. They showed him the sketch, and he was supposed to be sitting at a table. That was a sketch. It's like, say, hey, I'd like some pepper. And he tells Sandler, he's like, I'm going to take this over. And if you watch the sketch, it's all about everybody else until they get to Farley. And he's like wearing a fake beard, and he's like, why, Pepperboy? And he just takes it over. And he told Sandler he was going to do that. He was like, look, you know, I'll make this mine, and it's not even mine. So, yeah, totally agree with Farley, but I'm going to keep the controversy going.
Okay.
Number 2 for me, Norm Macdonald.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So when I think Sandler, I think Farley.
So controversial.
Like, I could do a whole podcast on Mike Myers and what he means to my life. But for controversy's sake, for I've got to watch it sake, there isn't an update he has done that I haven't seen. Okay. Norm Macdonald, every update. Yeah. I know all the jokes. I know the pauses. I know the O.J. Simpson murdered his wife.
He got Michael Jackson pretty good too sometimes.
Yeah. So Norm, but then you switch gears and you go Burt Reynolds on Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, Norm owned that every single time. So yeah, just for the fun of it, number 2, Norm Macdonald, because if
That's
again
wild.
you say, "Hey Dad, give me 5 minutes, let's watch this old Norm Macdonald weekend update."
Sure.
Absolutely. Bonus points for the where he gets fired and a year later he comes back and he's host and says,
Yes.
"Well, maybe you didn't know, but a year ago they fired me." But anyway, so that's number 2 for controversy's sake.
Yes. Very controversial. Like,
I feel like
I
we're going to have
just-
to revisit this and get some more strict parameters.
Okay.
Like 80s characters,
okay,
90s.
that's
yeah.
fair. That's
Because
completely
I mean,
fair.
this is just like,
It's really
I'll
hard.
put them.
That's completely fair.
I'm sticking with my number 1 though. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
I've changed it 6 times since you've talked, but I'm gonna go with what I originally planned.
The thing about Norm for me is I loved him too, but like so many people just did not because he
No.
was so
He's
like
dry.
he was like, yeah, like Michael Jackson, pedophile, homosexual,
Noted pedophile homosexual
And
Michael
then-
Jackson was in the news today.
and then he just says it with like the deadest
I mean,
face.
never moves.
And then people like some people are like haha, and then some people are like.
And then he
whatever.
would break the fourth wall and be like, "Oh, you didn't like that one?"
Yeah,
huh?"
exactly. One of my favorite ones is where he had Adam Sandler come on for like a sketch or something. I can't remember what sketch it was. Let's say it's Opera Man or something. And so Sandler comes on and then he leaves, and you know how they're supposed to be like Opera Man, everybody.
Yeah.
Norm says Adam Sandler, everybody, and then he like looks down. He's like, no, Opera Man.
Yeah.
He bears a striking resemblance to Adam Sandler.
Right before they fired him, did you ever see the one where he's messing around with the camera?
I don't know.
You should look it up. So he's smoking. He's not supposed
Oh.
to smoke. And he's like, I'm gonna look over here. And they switch cameras. And he goes, "How about now?" And he switched cameras. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going over here now." And like he got in big trouble because he wouldn't stop. He's like, "What if I turn my chair this way?" And it's a live show. What are you gonna do?
That's great.
You get
All right.
fired.
Okay, so I think you
Here
might
we
be
go.
surprised by my number 1.
That's my goal. I want to shock you with my number.
Okay, so my number 1 just feels like
Molly Shannon, if you're out there, thank you.
yikes.
Just appreciate your comedy.
So it's just he like
It's a
is
he.
the show for me.
Oh dear.
He just
Bold
does
claims.
things so well, like
So
within
what
the
this
show.
sounds like is someone you would pick even if we did it again tomorrow.
I probably would
Whereas
honestly.
mine can fluctuate. So this is interesting.
So I don't know. He just did all the humor things that just were
Okay.
so good, and like that the show was so good at, and you had to be good at to like make the show good. So my number 1
Number 1.
is Andy Samberg.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah. So for me, it's just he was able to do everything. He did like his Nicolas Cage impression. He could do that kind of comedy. He could be super smart, funny sometimes.
That's high praise.
Yeah, he could do super smart, funny sometimes. He could do ridiculous characters.
Wow.
He could be in his He could do musical comedy. He could do like, oh my gosh, kind of comedy.
So to be clear, this would be your number 1 tomorrow.
I think it would.
That's
I think
controversial.
so. I think so.
Because no way should Sandberg be a number 1 on anyone's list.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
Like, let's be serious. He's a parody of the best. So he's got Sandler's music chops, right? He's got a little Ferrell sprinkled in that he can meld into the background. Yeah, that's a terrible pick. Even though he was
Okay.
on my list. Where was he
Sure.
at? 4?
Yeah. Well.
I mean, I thought I was throwing that out there to be controversial and be like, hey, what about Sandberg? That's wild. Nobody would pick. And you just went number 1.
yeah, I said number 1.
And not just number 1, but
he's
number 1
freaking hilarious.
tomorrow.
I think so.
All right, be straight with me. Do you have a crush on him?
Nope.
Okay. So it's no, like, oh, he's good looking too factor.
No.
Whatsoever.
Maybe.
Okay. Notice she's rolling her eyes because she can't focus on the screen because I've got her.
I
mean,
don't
to be
care.
clear,
I
16-year-old Michael had a crush on Molly Shannon.
don't care what he's saying over here. I think Andy Samberg was just the most hilarious. He could do sketches like
This
he did.
podcast will be continued.
He did sketches. Like he's like a master at digital shorts, obviously, but
Yeah,
he also
what
did
else? Name
so
a
many
sketch.
sketches.
Name a sketch.
The thing with Justin Timberlake, I forgot it.
That's digital short.
No, it's not. No, it's
You're
not.
talking about in a box?
No.
Okay.
What was it? No, that's not it. Is it?
Can't do it. Are you sure you mean Andy Samberg?
Yes, I do. Who else
Okay.
would I mean?
All right, so first of all, I would like to take Andy Samberg off my list.
Okay,
Deleted
sure.
from the record. Let's replace it with Molly Shannon. Too many girls on my list, but that's cool. Molly Shannon. I feel like I didn't give Polar any love, who held it down.
She was awesome.
Man, for the first time, I can see how you could go top 10. But we'll revisit this. And in the revisit, if Sandberg is still your number one, I will know that you are wrong.
Right. Okay.
So
you're saying if you like Andy Samberg does a sketch, you don't want to watch it.
Not a sketch. I can't think of a sketch. He did the Cage impersonation on Weekend Update.
Yes, but he still was like in sketches, just like doing stuff, not even necessarily the star, but he was still hilarious in whatever role he was given.
Okay. That's just your worst take.
Okay.
Like that take right there kicks him out of my top 10.
Right.
Because you've shown me just how wrong you are.
Right.
So Molly Shannon, welcome to number 4. So let's recap. Number 5 for you.
Will Ferrell.
Love it. 5 for me as well.
4, Dana Carvey.
Molly Shannon.
3, Kristen Wiig.
What was 3 for me?
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon, yeah.
2, Adam Sandler.
2, Norm Macdonald.
1, Andy Samberg.
Okay. Yeah. Couldn't disagree more. Like,
that's so sad.
That's the worst take you've ever had. So my number 1. Figured it out. Held to it. Sticking with it. Number 1 of all time.
I'm nervous.
I just, Mike Myers means something to me.
Sure.
Right? Will Ferrell means something to me. Dana Carvey means something to me.
Sure.
Norm Macdonald, Chris Farley.
Sure.
Sandler.
Yeah.
Chris Kattan even.
I love Chris Kattan.
Kattan held his own for years, man. But number 1, can you venture a guess?
I really can't. Like, I have no idea.
Male or female?
Male.
Okay.
I assume.
Okay. It can't be 80s because that wasn't my.
Right.
The kick on Saturday Night Live, right? Carvey says this all the time. He says, whoever the cast was when you were a teenager
is the
that's
best
your
cast. Yeah.
But you break that mold because you are with me. You think Sandler and Farley.
Yes.
Right. So,
but
that's interesting.
Also, like, Andy Samberg is more of my generation's kind of.
Sorry. I mean, he's moving down the list as we speak.
Hey.
It's just such a bad take.
Whatever.
I know this is a controversial podcast. Deals with controversial issues.
Right.
All right, man. Number 1.
I don't
even know if I should say it.
Say it.
Okay. Kristen Wiig.
For real?
My number
Your
1.
number 1 is Kristen Wiig?
Name a sketch you haven't liked of hers.
Literally none.
Name a character she built from the ground up that you don't like.
None of them.
I mean, I think she might go down.
She's
awesome.
Like,
I can tell you there has got to be a 90s sketch where you were just like, all right, Farley, we get it. Like,
sure.
You're not hitting all cylinders on this one.
Yeah.
Farrell's had a few where it's like, it's not funny. It's not that it's not funny. You're just like, okay, cool. That's a fun one. But Kristen Wiig, I can't think of a sketch because if it was failing, she would just do something to switch it on its end.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was watching recently the one with her and Hader and what was our other girl, the anchor, always with wig? Maya Rudolph.
Oh, yeah.
Who should be on a list somewhere.
She's great.
Because Maya's the anchor.
Sure.
She's the dratch where it's like, throw Maya in there, she can hold it, whatever it is. And the sketch was not going well. So Maya and Christian just start doing ridiculous voices. It was a game show sketch.
Was it?
And then Wig starts driving the cart around and running into stuff.
I haven't seen that one yet. I've heard about it.
Yeah, you need to look it up.
It's infamous.
Because, like, the sketch is just not a good sketch. But Hader and Maya just start going nuts because Wig's just like, I'll take this over. And I'll make it.
And she started, like, breaking stuff on the set.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hader goes, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. And that was completely him.
So McKinnon's here.
Mm-hmm.
And Norm's just because Norm means so much to me. But when I thought, all right, number 1 SNL, every sketch, gotta watch it, can work with anybody, I think Wig might be the one.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Fair.
If you ever watch comedians in cars getting coffee, they have a lot of Seinfeld interviews a lot of SNL people. And when he interviews Wig, she is not the person you think she is.
Yeah.
Like, certainly kind, gentle lady, but not the SNL. Like,
really?
she's a New York lady.
Yeah.
Very, young New York lady, whatever you think that looks like, that's her. And it has nothing to do with her SNL persona.
Yeah.
Which is big, over the top, any character, anytime. So, yeah. As of today, I thought, wow, Kristen Wiig blew my mind that I thought that.
Yeah, that's fair.
but you've done a lot to solidify people for me,
Mhm.
and you've also done a lot to move Andy Samberg to maybe 51,
I
maybe
don't
51st.
I don't
I'd like to
understand
apologize again for including him
why.
as number 4. I thought I was being hip and with it, but Katie has shown me that he does not deserve a spot.
He
on my
does.
list.
He's the best.
Also, sorry to the men. Didn't think I would have 3 ladies on the list.
It'd be
you know,
funny.
So I'm gonna have to rethink that. Okay.
Okay, that's it. That's our lists.
So let's come up with another parameter on SNL.
Sure, like
And you will
an
give me back.
era wise.
Because I truly love talking to you
Gender-wise.
about this, and it makes me even more happy that none of your friends care,
Yep, it's great.
but I care.
I know you care.
And to her friends, I don't care about you.
Yeah. Chew on that. Okay, so obviously tell us if you do happen to like SNL, tell us who's your favorite cast member, or if you happen to have seen a sketch on YouTube one time, tell us who was in the sketch, and if they were good or bad.
Also, just refine yourself. Watch Saturday Night Live. Don't think you're funny if you haven't watched Saturday Night Live. Don't think you're into things if you haven't watched Saturday
Second
Night
favorite TV show of all time.
Live. Seriously. You're not as good as you think you are. Watch SNL.
Yeah.
Refine yourself.
Do it.
Do better.
Do better. So yeah, comment, like, share, subscribe, all the things, follow, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching.